you today. We're in Brooklyn, New York, and we are going to show you a little bit of HHO technology installed on a car. This is my Toyota Camry right here, and we have installed an HHO unit. The unit itself is down here under the grill. You can see a little piece of the foam. I have the foam covering the unit for the winter to keep the unit warm. It's foam like this. It's a closed cell foam, grommets in it. I custom made it, and I bought it in New York City. Now the unit looks very similar to this one, as you can see here. And what is inside the unit is some stainless steel metal plates. I don't know if you can see on the side, there are some plates that are sticking out, and these are stainless steel 316L stainless steel metal plates. Now what happens is, I will show you a little bit about the system and then explain the pieces. You have a reservoir separator. You have the unit itself, like I said, which is in my case is down here. It's mounted in front of the radiator. You have a separator and flashback arrestor here. You have a little EP box, which if you see this blue wire here, it's going to this EP, which I'll explain to you in a minute. And the last section is over here by the reservoir. It's this little relay. And the relay is just a low voltage converter to a switch inside the car, where the switch I flip on, and then it triggers this relay that runs the unit off of the battery. Now, what happens is you fill this tank up with distilled water and electrolyte. In the winter, we are using a little bit of methyl alcohol with the electrolyte to keep it from freezing. Now, what happens is the water comes down out of this tank here. I don't know if you can see the hose, not this hose that you're seeing here, but there's a hose underneath it, which I can't really pull up, but there's a hose. It's down here, if you can see it with my fingers. And this hose is going to the bottom of the unit like this, here. Now what's happening is we are putting electricity into this unit, DC voltage. The DC voltage is coming from my car's battery. You can see here the fuse, that's the positive, and also the negative coming off the battery is the black wire. It's attached here, the positive, the negative is attached in the back. Any one of these screws will work. And what happens is that you're charging the stainless steel metal plates inside of this unit. As the water goes through the unit, it is being broken apart. It's being fractured by the electricity. And what's happening is, as the water is being broken apart, it's breaking into its elements of hydrogen and oxygen. Now, the hydrogen and oxygen gas you can see here in the form of bubbles that are coming up out of the unit and back into the reservoir separator tank. Now, the unit does not break up all the water. You can see if on the bottom of the hose, you can still see there is some liquid. So the liquid is going back down through the unit and up again, but as it's breaking apart, it gets caught in the separator up here, and from the separator it's coming out of this hose and basically into the engine here. Now, I am putting it through a separator to prevent any water come through the engine. This is the separator here. It's just a simple PVC pipe that I made up with a little drain on the bottom. As you can see here, here's the drain with some Teflon tape on it. When we empty it once a month, you can check on it and just, in case any water's in there, you can let it out. And the gas is actually coming up from the bottom here, through the separator, up out of the top, and then it's going into the engine. Now we try to get the gas into the engine as close to the throttle body as possible. This is my air intake. This is my fuel coming into the engine. So what I'm doing is basically I'm taking the fuel and the air, and now I'm actually mixing hydrogen gas with the air and the fuel together. Some people say, well, is the car running on hydrogen? The answer for that is yes and no. It's running on about 30% hydrogen, the rest on fuel. So what has happened with this Camry is that I've gone from 30 miles a gallon up to 40 miles a gallon. About 450 miles on a tank of gas, now about 585 miles on a tank of gas. So it's not a pure hydrogen vehicle, and it is a hydrogen on demand vehicle. In other words, what I'm doing is I'm generating hydrogen on demand as the engine needs it, rather than having a fuel cell, which is basically a tank of hydrogen under high pressure compression that would be mounted like a gas